Kaieteur Radio, keeping you informed.
Demerara and Essequibo 99.1 FM.
Berbice 99.5 FM. Kaieteur Radio.
Good day, welcome to your news at noon on Kaieteur Radio. I'm Kevin Smith. Let's get to the news in detail. To truly understand the premium quality of Guyana's oil, one only has to hear the recent assertions of Hess Corporation's CEO John Hess, who participated at the Bernstein's 38th Annual Strategic Decisions Conference. The Hess boss explained that about 3 years ago, investors were not in agreement with their approach to constantly investing with no meaningful or significant dividend returned. They said outrightly to have their money returned and they will leave. But to keep them from walking out the door, Hess explained to them the crown jewel which they held in their portfolio, and how that asset is tied to one of the best oil contracts the world has ever seen. With such outstanding financial prospects, he told shareholders Hess is no doubt destined to grow dividends. He said too that Guyana is an industry-leading durability story, given its over 25 discoveries in the block and the fact that the partners intend to drill 18,000 feet deeper to unlock more oil that has been trapped for ages. With Guyana in its portfolio, Hess said production is poised to grow by 10% a year. In other news, food shortage in Guyana at the D.C. Caesar Fox Secondary School, Warramadong in Region 7 has resulted in poor quality of food being served to the students in the dormitory. As such, the teacher at the interior school is taken to Facebook to highlight the plight in hopes that the Ministry of Education would intervene. Minister of Education Priya Manikchand later said an investigation will be conducted into the allegations. Meanwhile, teacher John Adams, who is currently holding the position of Senior Assistant Master, stated in his post that the students in the dormitory are being fed shine rice and that they are only given the privilege of eating meat 1 week per month. And moving on, the recently renewed Liza 1 permit seeks to put in place protection for citizens of Guyana and its environment as oil operations occur offshore. Crude has been pumping from the Liza 1 field since 2019, but its operation has come under much criticism given the country's environmental vulnerability due to limited insurance coverage. Again, the document is being criticized for not offering the type of protection that is needed in case of a serious oil spill in the Stabroek block. The EPA announced days ago that it accepted financial assurance instead of full coverage insurance. Former EPA CEO Dr. Vincent Adams said that ExxonMobil will be capping its liabilities at the $2 billion guarantee, which was proposed by the company to cover any oil spill. He said that while, as EPA boss, the language that he ensured was placed in the Liza 2 permit, and which was copied in all others, stipulate unlimited liability coverage comprising the insurance plus parent company guarantee to cover everything above the insurance and or what ESSO cannot cover. This new permit seems to provide room to cap the operator's liabilities. In other news, Trinidad and Tobago has progressed on amending its fiscal policy for the oil and gas sector to ensure the country remains competitive and enjoys the benefits of its natural resources. The Minister of Energy and Energy Industry, Stuart Young, provided an update on the policy being pursued. According to him, in the 2022 national budget, the Minister of Finance announced that the Ministry of Finance, in consultation with the Minister of Energy and Energy Industries, would be undertaking a review of the fiscal regime for the upstream petroleum sector to ensure this country's competitiveness, with emphasis on 3 main petroleum taxes, namely petroleum profits tax, supplemental petroleum tax, and royalty, both offshore and onshore, in the deep water and shallow water for large and small producers. And moving on, fishermen here are still to receive a definite word on the granting of their fishing licenses to operate in Suriname waters. At a meeting With fisherfolk at the Classic International Hotel last Thursday, Vice President Bharat Jagdeo disclosed that nothing has changed as it relates to the acquisition of the 150 fishing licenses for Guyanese to operate in Suriname waters. According to Jagdeo, the issue is being raised in the Parliament of Suriname. He had stated that the operators in Suriname were benefiting significantly financially by renting the licenses to Guyanese fisherfolk at an exorbitant cost and are therefore pushing against the initial agreement between Guyana and Suriname. Guyanese are currently paying $3,000 to $4,000 to rent a Surinamese fishing license. The vice president stated on Thursday that President Ali has since been making the calls himself to deal with this matter. However, to date, there has been no movement. The time is now 12 hours 14. We'll take a short break and return with more news.
Experience more than award-winning speed.
Way more.
Get the best that LTE has to offer on Digicel, officially the fastest mobile network in Guyana. Ookla, the company behind Speedtest, recognizes Digicel as the best mobile network in Guyana. With the best LTE experience and the fastest data speeds, experience it all with Digicel. Better together.
This is GHK Lal, inviting you to join me weekdays from Monday to Friday on the National Outlook for commentary on a range of issues, immediately after the 12 noon and 7 p.m. newscasts on Kaieteur Radio at 99.1 FM and 99.5 FM. Looking forward to you sharing in the conversation.
Welcome back. Let us continue with the news. A 30-year-old taxi driver who is presently in police custody for faking his own kidnapping is now blaming his abuse of cocaine for conspiring with another individual to sell his boss's car. He has been identified as Kishan Bola of Section C, Block Y, Golden Grove. And on Friday, he turned up at the Madawini police station located at Samari and told police ranks that he was abducted by two men and a woman since Sunday, May 29th, and robbed of a car. Police commander of the East Bank District, Denise Griffith, said that when she heard his story, she questioned it right away. Get the full details of these stories in today's Kaieteur News. Police on Sunday were alerted that there was a man lying in the street of Self-Help Square, East Rhymeville, Georgetown, and when ranks turned up at the scene, they found out that he was shot dead. Up to press time yesterday, the man's remains were yet to be identified. Police reported that ranks had received the call around 3 hours 5. Crime scene expert described the man as an African male sporting dreadlocks. His body bore a single gunshot wound to his left side abdomen and was clad in a pair of three-quarter pants, a multicolored shirt, a blue hooded long-sleeve sweater, and a black toque on his head. While processing the scene, detectives found a .4 spent shell some 6 feet away from his body. A black and red Jordan haversack containing 2 bottles of Hennessy, 2 male colognes and body sprays, 2 knives, and $18,860 in cash were also found next to the remains. Investigations are ongoing. Guyana must aggressively pursue the production of oil to gain the revenues the country needs to combat the effects of climate change. This is according to President Ali, who told the public yesterday that climate change matters cannot be addressed without proper finances. He shared figures from UNICEF, which estimates that 1 in 3 persons globally does not have access to safe drinking water simply because the developing world lacks the resources it needs to grant those facilities. Additionally, the president shared that some 20% of the global population does not have access to adequate housing, and 1 billion people of the global population lives in slums. Meanwhile, the Hydromet Service is predicting frequent continuous rain and thunder showers across the country within the next 24 hours. In an advisory, the Hydromet office said rainfall will measure between 1 inch or 25 millimeters and 100 millimeters. Persons in low-lying and flood-prone areas are urged to be vigilant and cautious, as these conditions can cause significant inundation and mudslides in hilly areas. And in other news, Guyana has faced a number of challenges as it relates to the implementation of the Tobacco Control Act, which was enacted in 2017. Chair of the Presidential Commission on the Prevention and Control of Non-Communicable Diseases and advisor to the Minister of Health, Dr. Leslie Ramsamy, disclosed that the lack of enforcement of the tobacco laws is chief among the challenges. Dr. Ramsamy revealed that as chair of the Presidential Commission on the Prevention and Control of Non-Communicable Diseases, the issue has become very concerning to him. He explained that this is due to the fact that tobacco use exposes the population to greater risks to NCDs and disabilities and death. Meanwhile, the Ministry of Health has recorded 29 new COVID-19 infections on Sunday. One person remains in the COVID-19 ICU. With the time now moving on to 12 hours 19, we wrap things up with page 7 of today's Kaieteur News. Will Guyanese ever know what it means to own 11 billion barrels of oil? Guyanese are yet to come to terms with what it means to be the owners of 11 billion barrels of oil. This nation's people do not understand the value of this 11 billion barrels of oil equivalent and what it means for our financially prosperous future. Let's just put it out there that our leaders are the real reason why citizens do not understand what is being stolen from right under their noses. It's those very people who must look out for our interests and teach us all we need to know to successfully defend our resources, but they're busy selling out our wealth with bad deals and in secrecy. The foreigners are fully aware of what we have, and they want us to remain ignorant and docile within the situation that our politicians have created, because it's less resistance in the course of a robbery. Will Guyanese ever know what it means to own 11 billion barrels of oil? And that brings us to the end of today's News at Noon. I'm Kevin Smith. Thank you for listening.
Want value for your advertising dollar? Then place your ads on Kaieteur Radio's newscasts. Streamed live on 6 different mediums, reaching hundreds of thousands. Advertise today and watch your dollar grow. Call us on 225-8465 or 226-8210 to